visibility is tonight, and it's quite overcast at the moment. The 5 red lights are on your screen. We've got Rudy on the right, we've got Olgiano on the left, and it is go, go, go. Let's see who gets a decent start out the two of them. It looks like Rudy has hold on to his position perfectly as they all make their way down towards turn number 1. We've got Dernerko, who's had a monstrous start, but he has to take the escape road, so he's dropped down a little bit. He had a bit of a spin as well. Not quite the start to our home favourite and our championship leader at the moment. So it's Rudy first, Olgiano second, Legend third. Tom has had a good start in P4 at the moment, but he's been chased down by a lot of cars. We've got Asako trying to go down the inside of Rome, but can't do it, unfortunately.
Welcome along, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. It's episode 12 of Commentator's Corner. And the lady to my immediate right-hand side, you will recognise her voice, but you'll actually now see what she looks like as well. A very warm welcome to Commentator's Corner, Jess Ball. Jess, lovely to have you on the show. How you been keeping?
Hi, I've been doing great, being busy with commentary at the moment. Just started a new job recently, not related to commentary, of course. Life has been getting a lot better recently after the troubles of the pandemic. So I'm getting there slowly but surely.
Yeah, you've been doing a lot of work with PSGL, Visceral Racing, your head of commentary there, also One Hub. You also, if people might recognise Jess's Twitter handle, which is actually in the description down below. Jess, you were one of the people that actually competed at the F1 Creators show in London, where two particular guests that have already been on Commentator's Corner, King Kodiak, Chris Buxton and Kieran McGinley, were on hand to commentate. Now, that must have been a bit of a different experience, first of all, rather than not being on commentary, but being behind the wheel on an event put together by F1 Games by Codemasters.
To be honest, it was really, really fun. I got to meet so many great people. I got to network with so many great people as well. And it was my first ever proper event, meeting up with people since joining the EA Creators Network back in December. I got approached by the community manager there and said, do you want to join the Creators Network in December? And I said, yes. I started doing a bit of grid stuff and eventually moving on to F1. And then on the new F1 game, I got asked a few days before the event. So that didn't leave me enough time to sort out accommodation, travel and everything. Because I think someone dropped out and he was like, do you fancy racing it? And I was like, sure, why not? It would be a bit of a laugh. I know I'll be a slow person, but it was really fun. But I had to get used to completely different setup. The way the rig was positioned is different to the rig I have at home. I think there was load cell pedals there as well. I actually sat next to T McMahon at Ben Daly as well, which was a bit of a surreal experience. And to, I think my right, it was Hayden Gullis as well, and lots of other great people that I met along the way. I also met Dirk as well and Aravo, and I had to get to race alongside them. And even though I didn't get through to the final, it was just really good, just racing at a LAN event, which I don't think many people have a chance to. I know it's not commentary, but at least it gets the word out there that I don't just do commentary. I do obviously the content creation side of things as well. And I actually beat Arava, which is something I could put on my CV.
Yes, indeed. Yes, if you know of Arava, then a prolific F1 content creator. But we have a list. Well, I have a list of questions to ask my guest here, Jess. So first of all, how did you get bitten by the motorsport bug? And was there a particular big influence in that? Was there like a family member or a close-knit group of friends that sort of like pulled you towards racing as a fun thing, which has now become a bit more part and parcel of your life?
Well, my parents have been interested in motorsport since they were quite young as well. I'm really lucky that we all watched motorsport together. So it was about 1997, I came downstairs. I was a little one, and I saw my mum and dad watching a motorsport documentary about Damon Hill and his Road to Glory, the '96 championship, and I was like, "Oh, that's cool." So I had a bit of a watch, and I liked the sound as well, and I liked the enthusiasm that Damon was bringing. So I thought I would give that a go, and then I started watching F1 2000s on and off. I didn't watch all of it because my attention span back then was quite little. But I think it started to be, I think, 2007, 2008, I started watching it properly. 2009 was one of my favourite seasons because my all-time favourite driver, Jensen Button, won that title, and Braun came out of nowhere as well. And then vividly, I was keen to watch from like 2018. I would watch every single race without fail, except if I got a trip or seeing friends or got panto or something like that. I watch every race without fail. Usually with my mum and dad, we always like to watch it together unless they're at work or something. But yeah, it's the parents that got me interested, not the other way around, which was quite nice.
And do you ever remember the first time you actually went trackside, whether it was on your own with friends or with family? What was the first motorsport event that you actually experienced with your own eyes, you know, with every single sense being viscerally bombarded?
I've never been trackside anywhere. The only time I've been trackside was when I've met some league racing friends online. We do that every 6 months or so, but for the last few years we did it every year due to the pandemic. So we started off at Butmore Park one year, which was my first ever proper karting experience for a while, and then we went to Wilton Mill the year after, and then the year after that, I think a year after that we went to Thruxton. Then we went to Larkle in Scotland, which is lovely, by the way. I'm going again with them in September this year, which I'm looking forward to. And we went to Wilton Mill again in March. So we're starting to bring every 6 months. So yeah, that's my only experience trackside is actually just karting fun with my mates, but I haven't actually been to a race. But that's my goal, to go to a race. Probably BTCC will be my first option because it's cheaper, but hopefully I'd like to go to Silverstone. I was going to go to Silverstone this year, but it's sold out, so I couldn't go, unfortunately.
Yeah, well, Thruxton isn't too far from you, from where you're located anyway. I've been to Thruxton myself. I've been to the kart centre. I was there for the Race for MDNA charity event last year, which raised a lot of money. And so that's actually, you're the first person that has actually openly said, yeah, I've never been trackside. I've done other things that meant I've been at a track of some description, but I've not been at a motorsport event. And hopefully that happens sooner rather than later for you, Jess.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers, toes, legs, everything crossed. I could try and cross my shoulder blades, but I'd have a bit of difficulty doing that. Right, next question. How did you get into commentary? Was there a particular person or a party that got you involved into commentating?
Wow, I am a vivid performer in an amateur dramatic theatre company. I've been doing that for many years now, and we're starting up again in September for rehearsals there. And I also did a bit of radio back in the day. Did some online radio, did some hospital radio then as well. And obviously, I liked racing, and I wanted to combine my love of motorsport and online technology in general to actually entertain the audience in terms of commentary, because I thought, I would give it a go and have a bit of a laugh. And I started getting into the motorsport game industry. I think it was back in, I can't remember now, 2017 properly, when I saw the likes of Arava, Tim McMurdoch, and I became a member of Ryan L83's community there, and we used to have a little bit of fun there as well. And it was 2018 when I saw applications for Apex Online Racing commentary, so I signed up for that. And some of you may know, we already talked about him in the broadcast. Chris Buxton looked at my application. He was the head of commentating back then, and he liked it, so I started with the Xbox side. I did F2. I was thrown in the deep end, did F2. My first stream went absolutely horrible. I had the wrong stream key. I had the wrong bit rate.
Oh, no.
It was awful, but to be honest, I'm glad the worst things happened on my first day, because you're bound to make mistakes and you learn from your mistakes. And then I started balling out to different sims as well. I did Project Cars 2 in June of 2018. I broadened platforms as well with the PlayStation side of F1. And then I think it was 2019 or 2020, I moved to PlayStation on Project Cars again. And I know ACC was getting more popular, so when the pandemic hit, I started to do stuff with Singrid with ACC because someone recommended me to do some Singrid stuff, so I sent the show reel for that, and that's where I met you. So that's how I got to know you and your style of commentary. I think there were times where we never commentated alongside each other.
No,
but we usually.
no.
I think you were the one. You were always the one that commentated afterwards. So it was a Super Saturday. It was me and David Christie. We were doing
Yes.
few races, and then you were doing the long race for them, and we were just like, hi, bye. And then again, I wanted to broaden my horizons a bit more, and I did a bit of iRacing as well. I still do iRacing occasionally, but I think I've realised that F1 is still my major style, and I realised I wanted to help people with F1 as well. And I got approached, I think in 2019, the owner of One Hub, Nick, to be a commentator for One Hub Racing. And then because of my hard work, they approached me to be head of commentary, which is something I would have never expected. I found out when I was on the train watching Waitress, the musical in London. I was on the train back, and I got a message on Twitter saying, do you want to be head of commentary? You'll be really good. I was like, oh, wow, that'll be good. So I did that for a few years, and I've seen many people come up through the ranks due to my help, which was very, very nice. And the following year, Connor, the owner of PSGL, was looking for a head of comms there because the last one resigned, unfortunately, due to heavy workload. And I messaged him saying, I want to be head of comms, please. And I was expecting to ask to explain to him why I want to be, and Connor was like, oh no, we like your experience you're in. So that's my experience, really.
Right, okay, next thing that comes along is always talking about, I always go to my smartphone, I always have a look at funny social media bits. Now, there is nothing that I'm going to do to embarrass Jess, but there was a particular tweet 4 days before we actually recorded this episode from a very fellow commentator, Luke Etheridge, who put, and this is something that Jess retweeted, and I have to say, I laughed out loud the minute I saw it, was that, and this is to do with the incident between one Lewis Hamilton and one Fernando Alonso going into Le Mans at Spa, saying any Hamilton fan blaming Alonso for that needs a trip to Specsavers. I can see why you retweeted. It's great when, I mean, Luke did something brilliant the other day. What was it? He was on LFM ACC, and I responded to one of his tweets. He said, "This is what it's all about: trying to avoid things in turn one." And he said, in the actual Twitch stream he did, he went, what have I just witnessed? And I just like literally I just quoted verbatim what he said. And I just put my response, hashtag Yeatsville at T1, exclamation mark.
Yes.
I mean, the thing is that we're both very open about the fact of toxicity, unfortunately, plaguing leagues and people being fans of other drivers who have, we're not going to get into that topic, but we're both very much we're both very, very vocal about that. And the thing is, with leagues, competitors, we all want to put on a great show. We don't want people dragging the leagues and the drivers and the commentators and everybody else through the mud, which I know for a fact, Jess, you completely 100% are with me on that.
Yeah. Sorry. I did suffer a bit of hate when I first started because there were not many female commentators back in the day when I first started. But that didn't phase me at the time. And it lost my confidence for a little bit when I first started because all they liked me, and it got to a point back in I think it was in 2019 when I got dropped from AOR for a little bit because if I was kept on, it would affect the league's reputations and sponsorship. More importantly, it would affect me as well in terms of my confidence. But since then, I've been given tips to improve by some lovely people, and I don't get as many. I still get hate, but not as much as I do now. But I still think it's wrong just to hate people in general, even if it's commentators or drivers. We all love the same sport. We all love Formula One, ACC, whatever sim it is. if just respect each other's opinions, really. Just if you don't like about something, if you don't like a driver, if you don't like a commentator, just don't say anything at all.
Exactly. In the link in the description is a fantastic article from overtake.gg, which both myself and Jess have read. And I'll be completely honest about this. When I started off in karting, especially when I did one particular championship in continental Europe, I actually got a couple of nasty messages on
Ooh.
social media. But the thing was, one of the things for those aspiring commentators, if you're getting hate, you're doing your job right. There are people that are jealous out there. Seriously, there are people who want to be in the position that either myself or Jess are in. And we've worked hard to get to these positions. If you haven't got, as Jess said, if you haven't got anything nice to say, shut up. That's all you need to do. All you need to do. Well, we're going to move on from that particular topic, but I think it was worth making a mention of it. Because there are people that have worked long and hard in this business, whether it be sim racing or real life. Now, there are two questions coming up, but there's one I can't ask you because you haven't been to a racetrack yet, which is ever been starstruck with a racing driver. But we can take that from a sim racing complex there, I think. But favorite drivers, whether it be real life or sim racing, have you got a couple of drivers that speak out to you? I mean, I know you mentioned Damon Hill when you watched the documentary about the Road to Glory, the 1996 Formula One World Championship, where the late great Murray Walker said the following words: "I've got to stop right now because I've got a lump in my throat," as Damon crossed the line in Japan to take the title that year in 96.
That was a line I remember a lot. That strike to me has been one of my favourite Murrayisms, and it was just I think that just got me into racing. And obviously, like I said earlier, but Jenson Button, and I remember James Allen commentating on his first ever Formula One when James Allen was so biased, but I didn't care because he was crossing the line. It's like, Jenson Button wins!
Yes, I remember that. That was BAR Honda, 2004, the Hungaroring, because 2006. But previously, he was on course to win before that, but the engine blew on the last lap of the race. A bit like when Damon went from Williams to Arrows, where they had the Yamaha engine. Damon was leading, and that car decided to have an engine expiry on the last lap of the race. So
British curse, it happened to Lewis quite a few times as well. So.
It did. Yeah, you're right. You're right. So of course, JB, well, he's part and part of the pantheon of British drivers that have become Formula One world champions. I mean, are there any other particular drivers apart from JB and Damon?
I'm trying to think of current ones, but I think I like a lot of current ones at the moment. I'm a particular fan of the George Russell. I like what he's done at the moment and how he's adapting to the Mercedes outfit as well. How he's been so consistent. I like him. I like Lewis Hamilton, obviously. He how talented he is to have 7 world titles, and we always have fights in the household who we support because I'm more of a George Russell fan now, and my mum and dad are like Lewis Hamilton fans. So if they don't see Lewis Hamilton doing well like before, they get very annoyed, but they're not as annoyed now because they're expecting Lewis to not do as bad, so they like supporting other drivers. Sim racing, is a toughie. I'm liking what Lucas Blakely is doing at the moment.
Oh, yes, indeed.
He is doing the improvement that he's made from last game to this game has just been amazing. And with the race of champions as well, he beat Sebastian Vettel in real life cars. Like, oh my God, come on, Lucas. I'm expecting him to do well in F1 esports. We don't know what team he's going to be in, but it's kind of obvious, to be honest, judging by what Veloce had put in the past about and where he was at PSGL. But Lucas Blakely have a special place in my heart. Obviously, James Baldwin with the British GT and stuff, and he also took part in the 24 Hours of Spa this year. Sadly, didn't finish the race, but I saw his video recently of how he approached that 24 hour. That was quite that was very fascinating. Actually, most of his sim was at night time. So yeah, those were my favorite sim races. But I think Lucas Stroke Marmite has been the one that's developed quite a lot. And my prediction is going to do really well in F1 esports this year. That's my bold prediction before the season starts very soon, actually.
Brilliant. Right, next up is a very, very pertinent topic of discussion, and we have mentioned one particular commentator in the form of the late, great Murray Walker, with his respective Murrayisms. Obviously, I would imagine that he would be one of your commentary idols. Would that be correct, Jess?
There is quite a lot of commentary idols, but yeah, I think anyone who I know who has a commentary idol, I think one of them has got to be it's got to be Murray Walker. He makes a boring race entertaining. He makes it just so enjoyable to watch, and the amount of stuff he says is just so funny. And I think that was one of the reasons why I got into watching motorsport, to continue to watching motorsport, was because of the late Murray Walker and what he does. And he liked all the drivers. He was keen to find out about all the drivers as well. And I liked him. I'm trying to think of what others. I like Jack Nicholls as well. He's brilliant. Yes. With how he got into commentary. Like, he didn't go. I don't think he went to uni. I think he started off from quite a background which is similar to us, and to get where he is now is fantastic. And I like the work Jolyon Palmer does on the 5 Live as well. He's a great analyst for them as well, so I like them. I'm trying to think of who else really, but I think those were the ones that struck to mind. I may think of more at the end of the broadcast, but I don't know. Those are my main ones.
No, that's brilliant. So yeah, I mean, Jack Nicholls used to cut his teeth in FSR, Formula Sim racing, which still to this very day is going on at the moment. I think, who was it? I think it was one of the drivers. I think it was Colin Spork that just picked up this year's FSR title, and has now moved to Race Clutch quite recently. And that move was announced before he made an appearance on the VCO esports studio with a new presenter for that show. It was Ben Constanduros for 70 episodes, and now Arjuna Kankapati now hosts that one. Right, favourite moments in commentary. Now, this can either be your commentary or somebody else's, but you have to give me the first 3 that jump into your head. It's a tough one. It gets everybody, but the reason being is that there are always those moments that seem to outshine others.
Well, I can name one on the top of my head straight away. It was PSGL PSF2. I can't remember which season it was. I think it might have been season 29 or it might have been season 29, but I don't have a clue. It was season 29. It was the last race of the championship. It was the championship decider. The man that eventually won the championship came out of nowhere. We didn't think he was going to finish. I think he was in 6th on the penultimate lap, and then he came out of nowhere to win the race, and quite a few people were making mistakes. He made a crucial overtake, and that was just amazing to commentate. I believe I was on my own as well, because no one else could make it. So my voice was just dead. Second moment, it will have to be. It's got to be 2011 when Canadian Grand Prix. That all turned in too late.
Yes.
Button leads the Grand Prix, and then Jensen Button won because of like 6 safety cars and stuff like that. And the final one, I can't think of a final one. I could just think of 2. But I think the final one is when it was me actually racing, when someone commentated on my first podium that I ever had. It was around Austria, and it was in changeable conditions, and I stayed out on the intermediate tyres where quite a lot of people changed to the softs, and it didn't work out, and I ended up finishing 3rd. So those were the first 3 that popped into my head.
I love the fact that the one in the middle was the iconic Canadian Grand Prix, where we had 6 safety cars. Jenson Button clashed with Lewis Hamilton, ended up having
Yes.
6 pit stops, which included also a front nose change. And yeah, did the old JB, got the jump on everybody, and yeah, Sebastian Vettel last lap of the race. I think it was the penultimate chicane. He dropped the ball, back end of the Red Bull went sideways, and then yep. There goes JB, through we go. Well, we got one more question to finish this off, and it's quite a nice one because there's a 2-pronged bit to this where I actually ask my guest this question, and then I have to provide a very, very similar response. So, Jess, if you had no glass ceiling in terms of budget, and you had a choice of a car, okay, no budget, and a circuit you would take that car at. Now, that car can be a race car or a road car. What would you choose? And give us a brief explanation why.
Oh, it will have to be a McLaren sports car around. I'm trying to think of my favorite racetrack. A McLaren sports car around Austria, because Austria is one of my favorite racetracks to watch racing, and I just love the McLaren race team. I prefer, I think, an orange or black sports car for McLaren. I don't know which model. I don't care which model. There's
Okay.
a McLaren sports car that comes to mind.
Okay, well, I'll help you out with the road car side of things. So we'll go with the iconic McLaren Senna, the road-going car, which has over 800 kilos of downforce, 4-litre twin turbo, V8 pushing out over 700 Newton meters of torque from its rear wheels around the Red Bull Ring. Pretty good choice there, I have to say. Very good choice indeed. So we're going to stick with the Austrian theme, but I'm going to bring a little bit of a curveball here. So we're going to stay at the Red Bull Ring. Now, there is one particular car that doesn't really get a lot of look-ins when it comes to road-going vehicles. It is an Austrian car. And it's not just, I'm just trying to remember, because there's a couple of manufacturers that I do remember. One of which is KTM, the Crossbow GT. And it's not just any Crossbow, it's the brand new GT2 that runs in the Fanatec GT Challenge.
That's a good choice.
And at the Red Bull Ring. So the
you
funny
have good
thing
taste.
is, I know, there you go. You'd have 2 track ripping monsters at the same circuit. I mean, but no, I have to say, a McLaren sports car, I thought, well, if we're going to go sports car, we're going to go all out. We're going to go McLaren Senna. Why the hell not? And at the Red Bull Ring, a great track in its own right, very, very fast, hardly any corners, lots of elevation change, good slipstreaming opportunities, especially going through turn 5, unless you try to plant it around the outside. Alex Albon, a couple of years ago when he was still with Red Bull. But Jess, it's been a pleasure having you on the show. Thank you very much for your time. Don't forget, anyone, if you want to get in touch with Jess directly, I'm linking her social media down in the description below. Jess, thanks very much for your time, darling. It's been an absolute pleasure speaking to you.
No worries. Thank you for having me.
So that's it for episode 12 of Commentator's Corner. And hopefully number 13, which is just around the next Apex, will be very, very lucky because we'll have another guest here on the show. So a big thank you to Jess. It's goodbye from me. See you next time.